today I've got a Drukhari list that I've built myself. It's got a lot of tricks and tools to it, and it's not using any witch cult. So I know there's a lot of contention over the points value on the Reavers at the moment, whether they're 10 or 20.
They're 20.
They should be 20, but there's a lot of argument online about, because the Drukhari Codex was released after the Minotaurian Field Manual, and the English version of the Drukhari Codex has them listed at 10 points. There's a lot of discussion about which points value we should be using that.
It's 20.
Yeah. But I'll go into the list. It's 3 patrols, so it's a raiding force. So
is that a real space raid?
No, it's not a real space raid. That would be a battalion.
Is it? Ah, okay.
So it's got 3 patrols. So it starts at 14 command points. I've spent a few, and it's starting down at 11 command points here.
So there was when we did our video on initial Drukhari thoughts, so a couple of people are a bit confused about how you came up with 14 CP. So just for those who don't know that, just have a quick explain.
So the raiding force for Drukhari, if all of your detachments are patrols, each of those patrols costs 0 command points. So there's your 12. And then when your warlord is in a patrol detachment, you gain +2 command points. So that's how you get the 14. It's not a refund, it's a +2 command points, the way it's written in the rulebook.
Yeah.
Which, it's a crazy amount of command points.
Yeah, especially for a race that's got a hell of a lot of good stratagems, right?
Yeah, it has got a lot of good stratagems in there. So in the first patrol, we've got a poison tongue Kabal with...
Kabal?
Yeah.
Yeah.
With Drazar as the warlord. So his warlord trait gives him full rerolls to hit and to wound.
Nice.
Crazy good. He has the incubi keyword for his own aura that gives +1 to wound to incubi. So his attacks, he fights twice, just passively.
Just natively fights twice.
Yep. He can have 7 attacks each time he attacks, at strength 5. So that's 14 attacks with full rerolls to hit, full rerolls to wound, and +1 to wound. It's really strong.
So he's wounding like knights on 4s.
Yeah.
Yeah, with full rerolls.
Yes.
And how much damage?
Each of those attacks, if he goes for the profile that's +2 attacks, is 2 damage.
Okay, carry on.
Not only that, but
it's going to be one of those lists, isn't it?
Not only that, but Drazar also has the same ability the Incubi do, which is called Tormentors. So at the start of the fight phase, you select an enemy unit in engagement range, and if you can roll on 2d6 above their leadership value, then they are ineligible to fight until the rest of your army has done so. So he gives fight last.
Every turn. Not like a once.
Every turn, it's just a case, he just has to roll above your leadership on 2d6.
Alright then.
So then, to bulk out...
Out of interest, do the Drukhari have any shenanigans? You know, like the Harlequins can have a guy get out of the transport after it's moved.
So they have a stratagem that lets you jump out of a transport after the transport's deep striked.
Okay.
Also, from Battle Round 2, all Drukhari units have advance and charge. Yeah, there's a lot of tricks going on in this list, but Drazar being the warlord is just really good.
Yeah, sounds it.
So then I've taken 3 units of 5 Kabalite warriors in this patrol, and I've given each of the Cyberites a Phantasm grenade launcher. So the Phantasm grenade launcher is D3 shots at 18-inch range. For each time you hit, you roll 2d6, and if you equal or beat their leadership, you do a mortal wound.
Okay. So it's not exactly like the Harlequins one, but it's almost like it. Yeah.
Then I've got a unit of mandrakes in this patrol. So mandrakes are really good for scoring things like deploy scramblers.
Just beg your pardon. What's the range on the Phantasm grenade launcher?
18.
Okay, decent.
Also, because they're in poison tongue, their poison weapons are wounding on 3s. And there's some more leadership shenanigans going on with poison tongue as well, because if they kill an enemy model in a unit and that unit fails their leadership check, if they've killed a model with a poison weapon, and they fail their leadership check, they apply a -1 to combat attrition. So in matchups where that's relevant, that's already pushing the combat attrition roll to failing on 2s. 3s if they're at half strength.
Yep.
I've got the unit of mandrakes here. They can deploy scramblers. They can leave the table mid-game to come back the following turn in a deep strike. They're -1 to hit. They've got invulnerable saves. They're fairly resilient for the cheap unit that they are.
Yeah.
And then in this patrol, I've put 2 Void Raven bombers. So both of them, I've given them the Void Raven missiles, and they've got Void Lances. So a little bit of anti-tank shooting, a little bit of anti-horde shooting, but the key thing is those bombs.
Yeah.
Once per game, even when they fly off the table, thanks to an FAQ, they drop the bombs, and it's a 12-inch diameter. 6-inch radius from any point that they moved over. On a 5-up, 4+ if they're infantry, for every unit in that zone, takes D6 mortal wounds. So castle lists just hate it.
Yeah.
So that's potentially 2d6 mortal wounds to every unit in your opponent's army.
Do you get the minus for hitting characters?
No.
No? So
It just has the plus for hitting infantry.
Oh, wow.
So that can really put a stinger in a castle list.
How many are the points for the 2?
They're 200 points apiece for the Void Ravens, but even if you only use them for the mortal wounds, like if someone's bringing a bunch of like minimum squad elite infantry, or if they're bringing even like a Deathwing list that wants to all castle round an invulnerable save, like that's a lot of hurt being put down.
Yeah, it's a huge amount. I've often wondered about. You're talking about the Deathwing thing. When I was writing the list that we did, I was thinking, maybe Lazarus would be quite good in this army.
Yeah.
Yeah, because otherwise I've got no idea about mortal wounds. But yeah, that's.
But yeah, that's the first patrol. So then we go into the second patrol. This one's really small. It's just an Archon. It's Poison Tongue again. With an Agonizer, which is on a 3+ to wound because it's poison.
Right.
A Splinter Pistol. I've used the Tolerated Ambition stratagem to give him a Warlord trait, which I've given him Ancient Evil. So at the start of the fight phase, he can pick an enemy unit and give them fight last.
Right. So
without
two
a roll.
sources of fight last. Okay.
I've also given him a relic, the Animus Vitae, which is a grenade that it does some mortal wounds, but if it hits an opposing unit, for the rest of that battle round, my whole Drukhari army counts as one step further in the power from pain.
Yep.
So even if I throw this in turn 2, that means that now my whole Drukhari army is running at a 5-up invulnerable.
Yeah, nice.
And then 3 units of Cub-Light Warriors with the same, just units of 5 with Phantasm Grenade Launchers on the Cyberites.
Yeah. You got mortal wounds for days.
Yeah, it gets worse.
Yeah.
So then, on to the Coven detachment. So I've got a Dark Creed Coven here. So their abilities are within 6 inches, you're -1 leadership, and you -1 to combat attrition tests. So already, if I can get you to below half strength and kill a model with a poison weapon, I'm putting you down to failing combat attrition on 4s.
Yeah. Have you got anything here that you can hit out at leadership with?
Yes.
Yeah, because obviously there's the phantasm grenade launchers.
Yeah.
Well,
Dark Creed already -1 leadership within 6 inches of them.
right. And of course, you've got the mobility to inflict that
Yeah.
more or less wherever you want.
Yep. But it does get worse. If one of my characters kills your warlord in close combat, I have a stratagem that can push combat attrition down by 1 again. So if you're
right.
yeah. So I can make you fail combat attrition on anything but 6s. You kill like 1 model in a unit, have all of your auras on them, and then the rest of the unit runs away on 5s.
Yeah.
Like, that's really big.
What else is big out there at the moment in the meta? Sisters doing quite well.
Yeah.
Do they ignore leadership or anything like that? No. Okay.
Necrons don't ignore either.
Yeah, getting rid of their big squad of Repentia would be nice, wouldn't it?
Yeah. So Necrons don't ignore it either. Yeah. So you could have a unit of 20 warriors that you.
Not even with like the Silent King around. Doesn't he do that?
Not that I'm aware of.
No.
But you could have a unit of 20 warriors. You just shoot shoot a couple of them away, so they're going to fail their leadership with poison weapons, and then make them fail combat attrition on anything but 6s. That's a unit gone.
Yeah, that's pretty savage. And they can't even in future turns they can't roll to reanimate ones that have fled, can they?
No, they can't.
Yeah, that's really nasty.
So in this detachment, I've got a Master Homunculus. So the Alchemical Maestro gives him the ability that when he dies, he gets back up at the end of the phase on a 2+, with D3 wounds left.
That's the Celestine reliability right there.
Yeah. I've given him the Relic, the Nightmare Doll, which gives him a 4+ Feel No Pain.
Flip, how many wounds is this guy? It's got to be 5, surely. No, it can't be any more than that.
He is 6 wounds.
Wowzers.
And
so that means you're going to have to do 12 wounds worth of failed saves just to kill him.
Yes.
Statistically.
And then he gets back up.
Yeah. And it's at the end of the phase, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you really, ideally, you'd want to play him in such a way that your opponent can't shoot him down or psychic him down. You want them to take him out in combat, right?
Depends,
so then he gets back up.
Because I've also given him a warlord trait here, the Fearincarnate from the Dark Creed.
Okay.
Which I'll just bring it up here to read it properly. Fearincarnate. At the end of the movement phase, you select an enemy unit within 9 inches and roll 3d6. If the result is greater than the enemy unit's leadership, until the start of your next movement phase, that enemy unit cannot perform actions, and if it was already doing an action, it fails it. And they lose objective secured.
Okay. So are you thinking of using him like a bomb?
Yeah, it's something that I saw another content creator, he's coined it the Ooga Booga Homunculus.
Oh, scary. Hey, scary.
Yeah, so that's what I've got on the Homunculus. He's really tough to remove. He gets the lookout cell protection, and when you do remove him, he gets back up, and he's just going to be playing with your Obsec.
Yeah.
Then I've got 2 units of 5 racks, just base racks. These are literally for sitting at the back and holding objectives.
Mm-hmm.
And then in the elite slots for this patrol, I've got 2 units of 10 incubi. So they again have the fight last. Mm-hmm. So I've got 4 sources of fight last here. One of them that's automatic, and the other 3 are rolled against leadership.
So what happened then when you get 2 sources of fight last? Does it go back to who charged, or what happens?
So if you have a fight first and a fight last,
No, so say you charged these guys near a foul blight spawn with VATS, and he's going to make your charging unit fight last, but also you choose to make your target fight last.
they would both fight last.
But who goes first out of those two?
It would be on the priority order, so it would be the player whose
defender.
turn it's not.
Yeah, okay. Interesting. I did say that. I don't know if you remember that video we talked about. I was saying, I can't remember which video it was, but I mentioned, Space Marines have now got the Judiciar, the Source of Fight Last. These are, seeing it in
There's
Dark
a lot
Angels.
of fight last going around.
Yeah, it seems to become a much more common theme. And with the Drukhari, you've got, 4 sources, did you say?
4 sources in this list.
What, there are more?
Yeah.
More possible ones?
Yeah.
Oh dear.
But those Incubi and Drazar are really the combat hammer.
Yeah.
But then to top out the rest of the list, I've got five Raiders.
How can you afford all that in one list? That's a huge amount. With the bombers as well. That's a fifth of your army.
So I've got 3 of them are kitted out with all of the bells and whistles. They've got the Dark Lance. They're all Coven, so they're giving the -1 leadership aura.
Right.
And the -1 to combat attrition.
And I bet they've got the little trophies on
They've
there
got
as well.
they've got chain snares for 6 attacks in combat. They've got Grizzly trophies for within 3 inches another -2 leadership.
Oh.
So you're now pushing -3 leadership to push those fight lasts and the Phantasm grenade launchers through.
Yeah, they will rack up the Phantasm grenade launchers once you start stacking that leadership.
Each Raider has a Phantasm grenade launcher.
How many in your list in total?
11.
It's not as bad as I thought. I was counting more for
But
some
that's
reason.
11 D3 potential mortal wounds.
Oh, it's a nuke right there. You just target them all at whatever you want to debuff.
And that's not even counting for the Void Raven's mortal wounds.
Yeah.
So each Raider has got a Phantasm grenade launcher. I've got shock prows on them. So when they charge a vehicle for 1 command point on 2+, I do D3 mortal wounds to it.
Yeah.
Or charging into horde units, if I can Tokyo Drift style charge and get the side of a Raider into an enemy horde unit, the shock prow stratagem, for 1 command point, I roll a dice for each enemy model in engagement range of me. And if I roll equal to or above their toughness, I do a mortal wound.
Okay, I see. Yeah.
So there's even more mortal wounds coming out of this. And then on 3 of them, I've given them splinter racks, which means I can fire the 6 units of Carbolites that are all in those 3 Raiders at full range with rapid fire, with 3+ poison.
Nasty. It's a nasty list.
Yeah.
It's fun though. It sounds really fun to play.
And the only upgrades I didn't give to the other 2 Raiders out of the 5 were the splinter racks.
Okay.
But those 2 Raiders are carrying Incubi.
Oh. Elegant. We call that elegant. Very nice. Yeah, this sounds like a really fun list to play. I am a big fan of anything that's like very fast moving.
Yeah.
I love things that debuff leadership like that. I think that's
Yeah,
really
well,
cool when you can start to synergize.
With all of the tools that the Drukhari have access to, especially with a list like this, the leadership bomb is really a thing. Because even if your opponent isn't going to fail combat attrition because they ignore it like Space Marines, and even if they're not going to fail leadership because they're fearless in some way, you're still playing with that leadership by dropping their Obsec, making them fight last, hitting them with Phantasm grenade launchers for mortal wounds. So you're still playing with their leadership, even if they ignore part of it.
Yeah, I like those kind of armies as well, when you're kind of playing that game within a game, because by turning off like Obsec and being like, okay, well, I can't shift this opponent off my objective,
Yeah.
But suddenly you take away their obsec, and now they've got to they're kind of panicking because they've got to look for a new source of primary points.
Yeah.
Because they know they can't kill you enough off this one. All of a sudden they have to start exposing themselves.
Just that one homunculus. Like by the time you get through his lookout sir, because he's getting lookout sir from all those raiders.
Mm-hmm.
By the time you get through that, he's still tough to kill. With 4 up, feel no pain, and gets back up at the end of the phase.
Yeah. Really good.
But like, even in turn 1, if you don't mind not shooting with one of your Dark Lances, you just advanced Aether Sail stratagem to get an 8-inch advance on one of your raiders. Mm-hmm. So now that raider's moving 22 inches. That's putting itself in range to get the Grizzly trophies off, which is pushing that -3 leadership. That raider could be holding Drazar and 10 incubi. So even if you kill that raider, you've got a scary unit to deal with.
Yeah. I'd feel... I mean, out of the 2 scenarios where your army hits together in turn 2 or 3, sometimes, I mean turn 2 for an army that's this fast, but or just dealing with that turn 1, I'd rather deal with that turn 1 and just be like, okay, radar, Drazar, Incubi on my doorstep, let's deal with that.
Yeah.
And then we'll worry about
it's
what
an
else
option
is coming.
because you've got these 3 raiders that are skirting around at like about 18 inches to get the Phantasm grenade launchers and the splinter rifles off. So they're just going to be doing little chip damage to big things, and they're going to be doing some serious damage to hordes, or even Mortarion. They wound him on 3s with that poison.
So silly. The Lord of all poisons and toxins is getting taken down by poison.
I mean, not even accounting for the mortal wounds. The fact that I hit Mortarion even with his power on 4s, and then wound him on 3s with 60 splinter shots.
It's enough.
Like, say I hit with 30 of those, and then I wound with 20. He's gonna fail like 10 of those, maybe. No, he's gonna fail 7 or 8 of those. Mm-hmm. That's almost enough to bracket him just off splinter rifles.
Yeah. Tell you what we haven't done, which we need to get around to, secondaries, before we go any further.
Oh, secondaries for this list are crazy good.
Yeah.
So you've got, while we stand, we fight on the Incubi and Drazar. Mm-hmm. Because everything else is cheaper. Oh no, it's on the Incubi and the Void Ravens.
Okay.
Probably not a great one to take, because everyone's going to target those units. But you've got deploy scramblers with the Mandrakes.
Yeah, all day long.
You've got engage in all fronts, just because you're a fast army. You've got raise the banners, because you've got your racks at the back. You can drop a unit of 5 out of a transport and banners with them.
What about the Drukhari specific ones?
The Drukhari specific ones, so there's one of them that you gain a victory point for every enemy model that flees. So the combat attrition shenanigans really play into that one.
It's like that only one you could max out on one turn.
Yeah, you against some armies you could legitimately one turn that secondary.
Yeah, easily.
Especially being able to push them down to failing on 5s.
Yeah.
Then you've got reverse engage. So for every table quarter your opponent is not in, you score 2. Yeah, you could score that fairly easily with this list just because you've got the killing power.
Yeah, if they overcommit.
Yeah, like even if you're just keeping them out of 2, that's 4 victory points a turn.
Because that's what I like about these types of armies, right? Is because they're so fast. So, like in 40k, you have the swirl, right?
Yeah.
When they move around each other, because you've got the speed. If they, spread out, you can jump on one side of the board, nuke a couple of units there, have that whole side of the board to yourself, and then you're probably not going to get hit back too hard, because if it's a combat army, they're too far away.
Yeah.
And if they're a shooty army, well, hopefully you've got a good amount of terrain between you and them, and you kind of shut off some of the angles, depending on how you engaged. And then, of course, in the following turn, you've got the speed to move out and hit the next area you want
Yeah.
to. And all the time, like you said, you're keeping them out of the table quarters, you're keeping them off the objectives, and you're only having to deal with a small portion of their army at a time.
Yeah.
And of course, if they do want to table up together, you've got the Void Ravens.
Yeah, if they want to castle up,
Yeah.
Void Ravens are just going to love it.
It's a really good list, mate. Really good. Like it.
But yeah, it's got a lot of hitting power, and so it's very good at like kill secondaries. So you've got the 5 Dark Lances and the 2 Void Lances and the 4 Void Lances on 2 Void Ravens. Bring it down. It's great secondary because you've got those guns that are all D3+3 damage.
Yeah.
In their ranks, you've got a lot of 3+ to wound poison to deal with hordes. And again, you've got those D3+3 against vehicles that, if they're 10 wounds or more, they're going to count for 10 points towards your thin their ranks. It's very good at kill secondaries. And the ability to advance and charge with a lot of the characters and, well, even the incubi, you could probably get assassinate with a few of these.
All right. Well, hope you guys enjoyed hearing about that just quite simply disgustingly good Drukari list. Yeah, smash that like button if you want Gareth to, hurry up and get on it, because I definitely want to play it. And of course, if you want to see more from us here at ObsecTactics, list discussions, battle reps will start up soon. They're coming imminently. We're just sorting a few more things out in the studio, and then we'll get right on it. But obviously, be good to each other, stay safe, even in these times where rules are relaxed a little bit. We've all got to do our part to make sure we can get back to normality as soon as possible. And so from me,
And me.
and of course Big E, wherever he is right now, we'll see you later.